Hello, my friend, and welcome to Beyond, the personal growth podcast for the people who are healing beyond their conditioning and beyond the cycles that played out before them. My name is Lynn, and with 20 years of experience in the field of psychology and human behavior, I am bringing my natural curiosity, expertise, and personal life experiences here for discussions that are guaranteed to be informative, inspiring, and entertaining. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. I am recording in my oversized sweatshirt because we just got back from a quick turnaround trip to Kings Canyon National Park. And we went as a family to really complete the summer so that we can get ready and step into the fall. And it was amazing. It's about 4 hours away from where we are. So we drove. And it was one of the first long road trips that Ezra has been on. And the boys did fantastic. And we had a great time. We saw giant cats at Cat Haven, which is like this giant cat sanctuaries. They had lions and they had leopards and they had all kinds of stuff. And then on day 2, we went into Cedar Grove, which is within the national park, and saw the cavern, aka the cave, Boyd's Cave, I believe. And it was so amazing. So as I am recording this, I became aware that last episode I shared with you that I was on day 1 or 2 of my fast, I think. And it wasn't actually a fast at that point in time. It was a cleanse. And it was the master cleanse, which is, I think I shared also on last week solo episode, that master cleanse is lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup, right? Day 2 for me was so intense, like abnormally intense. I have fasted before. I have never done a cleanse, but I was really on day 2, like, wow, how I must have a lot of toxins in me because this is significantly worse than I was anticipating. So fast forward, I realized that I am allergic to citric acid, which I think I shared on my Instagram stories if you follow me over there. And my skin broke out in rash. I was like so fatigued. I was having muscle cramping. Like I really felt like I had come down with the flu. Then came to realize, oh my gosh, I'm allergic to citric acid, which I made the connection point because a few years back, I tried to use a vitamin C serum that was super popular. My skin did not agree with it. I literally broke out in hives everywhere that it was. And so that's what helped me facilitate the connection around the allergy to citric acid. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I need to pivot. I have 4 options. I can stop the cleanse and go back to eating regularly. I can redesign the cleanse and do it with maple syrup and cayenne pepper only with no lemon, because all of the foods that it suggested to replace the lemon with still had citric acid. And I was like, I'm not going to continue to put my body through this. So that's a no-go for me. I could go into a water fast purely, which would be significant for me because I think the longest water fast I've ever done prior to this was 72 hours. And I learned about this on day 4 or 5. I can't remember. Or I can transition into bone broth and water. And that's the option that I opted for. I am currently on day 8 of what I guess is called a bone broth fast. So it's bone broth I sip throughout the day and water. And it's been amazing. Like I really now in this process, being 8 days in, am like, before you do any plant medicine, do a fast, do a bone broth fast, or do a cleanse, or do a water fast. Like, see what you can create in terms of connection and deepening your faith and connecting to your higher power, aka God for me, and see what that facilitates for you. Because I found myself at this point in this process, especially on our trip, where I was journaling in the evening, and I was literally like, what is this supposed to be teaching me? Like, what is supposed to be happening? Because I thought I was starting one thing, right? Which was the master cleanse. apparently God had other plans, which was a pivot into a bone broth, and water fast. The biggest thing was I didn't want to abandon the process. Like I still wanted to stay in integrity with the process. I still wanted to make sure that I was following a protocol that was very, very similar to the master cleanse and really connecting to something deeper inside myself and gaining more clarity. So I was sitting there writing at our Airbnb, which was so cute. I was like, God, what is this fast trying to teach me? I set the intention, right, of coming into this cleanse through the process, feeling more powerful and feeling more clear and feeling more inspired and motivated and like all of that. That was the original intention. And just taking myself to another level with regard to how I be in my body. And here I am sitting and writing and I'm like, what's going on? It's pure confusion, right? It's the total opposite, I feel like, of what my intention was going into this process. And through my journaling, what I came to is that the function of this experience for me so far has been acceptance. And acceptance is one of the primary core components for any type of transformation. It's like allowing ourselves to set an intention and make a decision, right? And then to allow the process to unfold in the way that the process needs to unfold while staying committed and staying steadfast. And one of the things that I really have gotten to bump up against metaphorically in this process is acceptance, right? I wanted this process to look my way. And oh my gosh, my way is nothing compared to God's way. It is minuscule compared to God's way. And I know this intellectually, like in my brain, I know this. And yet here I am in this process journaling about how I feel confused and how I feel kind of upset because I feel like I got gypped, right? Little victim consciousness sprinkled in there for you. I got upset because I was like, I wanted to cleanse and my husband is cleansing. And, now I'm allergic to vitamin C or citric acid. And now I'm on this bone broth cleanse, which is also cool. And as I was writing it out, I just stepped back and writing really helps me to zoom out a lot of times. I really zoom out a lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, Katie, you're still going to receive what you set out to receive. There is still going to be clarity. There is still going to be empowerment. You're still going to be inspired. If I wasn't inspired, I wouldn't have made it to day 8. You know what I mean? And now that I'm at day 8, I'm now considering going to day 14 rather than day 10 because originally it was day 10 and now I'm like day 14. And so really in this moment, what I got to do was I got to do 2 things. I got to let go of my idea of what I thought this process was going to look like. And I got to really surrender that and release it. And then number 2, I got to really accept that in this moment, what is best for me clearly is the bone broth with the water and go forward in that. And the crux of it was to make a decision to discontinue this sort of ping pong in my head or pretzeling in my brain is another term I like to use, where it's like these thoughts that I'm having about this process are just literally taking me in circles and it's going nowhere. And it's not creating an environment internally for me that feels expansive or abundant or full of possibility. It's actually zooming me so far into what I wanted to me rather than shifting my perspective and saying, what is God really trying to show me here? What is available for me here? And how can I contribute to this process with my thoughts and with my consciousness and with the way that I'm showing up to it with my attitude? And how can I honor my initial decision to do this process for at least 10 days and show up powerfully, even if the process itself shifts in its execution? And that's really been the biggest lesson for me is like, get the mind right, zoom out, get some perspective. Like in every single moment, I am making a choice. What is the choice that I am making? And what is informing that choice I am making? What are the standards I am honoring in that choice? What are the values that I'm upholding in that choice? And how are they in service to the people in my life, myself, and to God at the same time. How is that working for me? And am I really leveraging that power of perspective as I embrace acceptance and as I make a decision to no longer tolerate the pretzeling in my brain or the ping ponging or non-productive thoughts or a negative attitude because something that I chose is not going the way that I thought it would. And as I came out of that moment, I had renewed my mind and I was able to really go, you know what? This is an adventure and I get to celebrate that I'm 8 days in. And before this, the longest I had ever gone without food was 72 hours, maybe even less. And that's a big deal. And honestly, I feel great. I feel fantastic. Like, sure, the energy gets low in moments. Sure, I need to meditate a little bit more and take pauses a little bit more. Yes, I'm in prayer more frequently. And I think that that's really the point. I think that's really the point of this is like, accept that I'm in this process, decide that I'm going to stay committed and let it unfold in a way that could blow my mind. And as you listen to this, I would love for you to consider where in your life have you resisted acceptance? Have you been unwilling to accept what is so that you might be brought to more opportunities with how to leverage where you are and what's available to you? As we complete this episode, I would love to know your insights, takeaways, and feedback. You can message me on Instagram at Katie Lynn Rojano or send them via email to katie@katielynnrojano.com. Any products or digital downloads I mentioned can be found via the link in my Instagram bio. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to share it with at least one friend and leave a 5-star review so we can get these impactful dialogues into the lives of even more people. I would also like to thank my guest for their vulnerability and generosity in allowing us to learn from them and grow alongside them. Until next time, friends, let's go beyond.